This is the part 3 of the tutorial on generic collection classes with the comparer class, and this is built upon the last two lectures on part 1 and part 2. So if you have not seen those, please first go through the part 1 and then the part 2 before coming to this lecture. And today we are going to write code for the static void main class, that is the test class. So we are going to test the comparer. Okay, so let's get going. So let's make a list of what generic type table and call it table equals new list of table, and then a pair of circular braces, right? And then table dot add method, what does it take? Table item. So it takes a new table, and what arguments? In height, length and integer, 3 integers. So we'll write it, say 4, 15 and 12, semicolon, copy it, paste it, say 4 table elements and change the dimensions, make it 8 and say 20, say 18. Just assign arbitrary dimensions, say 6, say 12, say 10, and then say 7, 11, 9, and let it be say 14, and say 28, and say 20. Right, so I have added 5 table elements to the list table, and then I'm going to write, next is I will sort by a comparer T implementation that sorts first by length. So this is, you can see, this is, it takes height, this is the first dimension is height, and then length, and then width, right? Height, length, width. So just write a comment, sort by a comparer of type T. Here it is, table class, T fills for table, implementation that sorts first by length, right? So this is table, this object dot sort. What does this take? There are 4 overloads. So this third one, table comparer. Okay, so let's choose the third one, this one, I comparer type table, and then it will be a new table length first. Why it is like that? Because table length first, if you look into our earlier code, this is implementing the comparer abstract class, right? So it should be of that type, and then I'll have a few console.write line statements. console dot write line in the just a first header type of representation, height, length, width. Let's separate it by a few spaces just to make it more cleaner when the output comes on the screen. Okay, so console.writeLine, and then we will just write another line, console.writeLine. In this line, it will be a separated type of appearance it will give between the header and the data. And in this third line, I will type console.writeLine again. This is explicit comparer implementation that sorts first by length. I just concatenate into next line for clarity. I can just put a plus sign to concatenate the two strings, which is available in C#. Sorts first by length. Okay, and then terminating it by a semicolon. Now, after this comes the actual for each loop. So for each table tx or tb in, what is that class? Table again. What I would like to do in this for each loop is to put a console.writeLine statement having three placeholders for three of the dimensions like this, and get the spit out the values. So console.writeLine here, sorry, this is a circular brace. Within double quotes, I'll have to write a placeholder first for the 0th index, 0 \t for implementing a tab space, again \t, and after this \t I will write the placeholder for the second element, the 1th element or the second element, and then the third element, 2th element you can say. Then this is tb dot, because I am looking at height, length and width in that order, tb dot height, and then I have to make it to string, to make it a string because it accepts string, console.writeLine, and tb dot, this time length dot to string, to explicitly force it to a string. Although console.writeLine does accept integers also, just a tab space here, and finally tb dot what is left, width dot to string, and then end it by a semicolon. Right, and then we'll build the code for the default comparer. So I'll copy this code, copy it from here, paste it here, and then I'll just change the comments here. That's later why it is. Table is a type which is not valid in given context. For each table DB in sorry, there is table. That was my table object, not capital T. So table, that's fine. All right, so again coming back here, I don't need this line, or I'll just change this position of this line a little bit later after initializing the table object for this default class. So I'll change this first. This is default implementation that sorts first by height, as opposed to the explicit implementation where we implemented by sorting first with the length. Right, so after this line it will be I'll just write a comment, get the default comparer that sorts first by height, and then that is also a comparer table class, comparer of type T, that is stable in our case, and I call it default comparer or default comp, something like that. Compare, default compare equals now I'll copy this comparer table, and let's see, dot, I've got a default. Okay, so this, what it does, it returns a default sort order comparer for the type specified by the generic argument. Right, so it's all indented, and then I will do something like this table.sort with new table, or table.sort. This time it will be, I will just pass this object default compare, table.sort, sorry, again, table.sort. Can either, we have the choice of writing either table.sort with an empty parenthesis, and or we can write pretty much, you can pass this object default compare. It is the same thing for the default comparison. It will anyway go for the default comparison. So that's fine, this line is okay, and then I'll copy from here, copy, and this part of the code is exactly the thing that was copied from here, so there will be basically no change, although this comparison is by height first and here it is length first, but you know, the presentation is the same. Okay, and what else? So pretty much compare T implementation. Okay, now we are still not finished here. The explicit implementation compares first by length, returns -1 because the length of the table A is less than length of table B. But however, we'll see how it works. So I'll have to write table length first here. Table length first. Say length first equals new table length first. Okay, and then comparer of type table again, TB equals cast to comparer that length first, compare table T, this one. So I'll just enclose, wrap it around in a pair of circular braces, and then length first. Okay, and then table, let's write two tables, table A, table say table A equals new table, and I'll pass dimensions, say 2, 6, 8. Table, just copy this code, copy table B, make it B, say 10, 12, 14, and I will assign a variable var. It will be evaluated to an integer, var x equals length first dot compare. So this is this object, length first, copy it, dot compare what between these two table objects, table A, and pass the other table object, table B, and then a console.writeLine statement, just to for clarity, just to introduce a line, console.writeLine, and then finally console.writeLine again, and this time to spit out the value of x to string, and that's it. So now we will test. Okay, so control F5, build failed. So I have now sorted out the build error by changing the comparer table instance to TX, which is now different, and the same scope. Earlier it was also TB, and these were also TB, these local variables in the for each loop, and that was the problem with the compiler. So now let's build the application. Control F5. Right, the output says the first case, this is the explicit comparer implementation that sorts first by length. So this is height, this is length. So you can see that it's an increasing order of the length. So it is sorted by length, right? And then this is the default implementation that sorts first by height. This column is for height, so this is sorted by height, 4, 6, 7, 8, 14. The minus, yeah, so this minus sign is due to the fact that we have table A length, which is 6, is less than table B length, which is 12, and that's it. Thanks.